Hi Year 10, I'm just going to go through with you how to access the work on your classroom and your MyMaths, and then I'm going to give you a little lesson on Pythagoras, just because that's the next task that you're going to get set. So when you go onto your classroom, you should have a page which looks a bit like this, and on it you will have the lesson and the activity that you need to do. This one will have your score recorded on it, but it's really important that you have a go at the lesson first. When you click on it, you will be asked for your school login and password. Just remember your login is going to be Bright and your password is Decagon. Okay, so when you get in there, you're going to get a lesson that looks like this. You've done MyMaths lots of times before, but just to remind you, you need to work your way through the numbers. Sometimes in the bottom right hand side of your page, you'll get a button that says next. Don't forget that that takes you through different points in that slide. Okay, once you've finished the lesson, you will go back to your assignment and click on your homework. Okay, so in this one you're going to be asked for a slightly different login. This is your personal login, so that it will record what you're doing and give to your teacher. So you'll have a 4-digit username and a 3-digit password. Okay, so if you have a look at this task, you are given lots of different triangles and asked to find the missing length, and then in question 2 it's the same kind of idea but a little bit more problem solving. Okay, if you have gone through the lesson on MyMaths and then you get onto the task and think, I have no idea what I'm talking about, then there are two options. You can go and have another look at the lesson, or you can go onto MathsWatch. So if you type in MathsWatch at the top of your toolbar and put VLE for the virtual learning, and then hopefully you'll recognise the symbol here, and go into MathsWatch. Okay, it's going to ask you for your username and your password. Your username on MathsWatch is going to be your username for MyMaths with @JohnBright at the end. So I'm just going to put that in now. @JohnBright. Don't put the .uk. And then your password is going to be your password for MyMaths with 123 at the end. Okay, when you get on there, you won't have been set an assignment because your assignment is on MathsWatch, but you can just click on the videos and then have a look on here for the topic that you want to do. So we're doing Pythagoras, so I've typed Pythagoras into there and it's coming up with all of the different types of Pythagoras. So we'll start with the simple approach. You also cover on your MyMaths homework line on a graph, so you can go back and do that afterwards as well. When you click on that, you've got 3 options. You can do the full video where it goes through all the examples and everything else. You could click on the 1-minute maths where it's just going to give you a quick overview. And then if you wanted to, you can click on the interactive lesson and you can have a go at some questions and check that you're getting those right. Okay, once you understand it, you can then go back onto your MyMaths and have a go. If you have done all of that and you still are a little bit stuck, you can just screenshot the bit that you're stuck on and then send it to your teacher on Classroom and they will respond to you on that one. Once you've done all of that, you just need to go back onto the Google Classroom and click on the Hand It In tab so that the teacher knows that you've completed that task and they'll have a look to give you some feedback. Okay, so let's have a look at Pythagoras' theorem then. Okay, so looking at the right angle triangle, the first thing we need to be able to do is label it. Okay, so when I look at this now, I can see I've got a right angle here, and the side that is opposite the right angle is always the hypotenuse, okay, and that is the longest side. So if I just write that in here, hypotenuse. Okay, and that's the most important bit of Pythagoras, is knowing where the hypotenuse is. So I'm just going to make a note on here that it is the longest side opposite the right angle. And when you get given a question, the first thing that you want to do is highlight the hypotenuse before you start doing anything else. I've just put some questions up there for you where you need to identify which letter is the hypotenuse. Okay, so I'll just move that a little bit there so you can see all the letters. What I'd like you to do now is just copy down the notes here on what the hypotenuse is, and then have a go for me at identifying which one of those letters is the hypotenuse. I'll just move it so that you can see all of them, and then I will leave you to it to have a go at them. Okay, so if you just pause the video and then identify the hypotenuse, and I'll go through the answers afterwards. Okay, let's have a look, see if you managed to get those ones right then. So looking at the first question here, I can see that the hypotenuse is the longest side opposite the right angle, so you should have got Q. On the next one, hypotenuse longest side opposite the right angle, so it's P. On this one, longest side opposite the right angle, P again. On this one, longest side opposite the right angle is R. This one is going to be P. Then on this side, you should have got Q on this one, R, and then the last one, R again. Okay. So once we've identified the right angle, the next thing to do is use the actual theorem. Okay, so that's what we're going to have a look at next. So Pythagoras was a Greek mathematician who made a really interesting observation that if you drew squares on the side of a right angled triangle and added together the square of the two smaller sides, it will always equal the square of the longer side. Okay, and so he managed to write that into an algebraic formula which allows us to always be able to find a missing side of a right angled triangle if we've got two of the other sides. And that formula is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And put simply, if you want to find a missing length in a triangle, you can add the square of the two smaller sides to get the square of the larger side. Okay, so that's why it's so important to be able to identify the longer side, which is the hypotenuse. Okay, so using that formula then, we can find any missing length in a right angle triangle. So we're going to have a look at the worked example just on this side here. Okay, we've got a right angle triangle. First thing we want to do is identify the hypotenuse. So looking at that, opposite the right angle is here. We're looking to find the hypotenuse, which is our C. So we can just substitute all of the other lengths in. I'm going to call this one A and this one B, but it really doesn't matter which way round you have the smaller sides, as long as you've identified the hypotenuse as C. So I've got 4 squared plus 3 squared is going to equal x squared. When I work those out, I've got 4 squared is 16 and 3 squared is 9. And so that's going to give me 25. And my x squared will equal 25. Now, at this point, a massive misconception would be that this length here, x, would be 25. Well, if we did that in an exam, we would look at our answers afterwards and think, well, 3, 4 and 25, that's massively out of proportion. So hopefully that would remind us to square root. So if I do the square root of 25, I'm saying what times by itself makes 25, and that's it. So my answer to that would be 5 centimetres. Okay, there's just a quick question there for you to have a go at yourselves. Okay, so if you just pause the video and then have a go at working out the answer to the question here, and we'll have a look at the answer in a second. Hopefully then you will have got that you are squaring 6 and 8 and adding them together to get x squared. So we've got 36 plus 64 is 100, and then remembering to square root 100, which gives you 10. So the answer you should have got was 10 centimetres. Okay, can you see what's different in the example that I've given you now then? Okay. Hopefully you will have seen the main difference here is that you have been given your hypotenuse, okay? So this is the length opposite the right angle, so it is your hypotenuse. So if we go to use our Pythagorean formula, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared, we will remember that the hypotenuse is the c. Okay, so putting that in now, I've got 4 squared plus x squared, because I don't know what that side is equal to the 5 squared, because the 5 is the c. So in order to work that one out, I can just subtract instead of add. So 5 squared, take away the 4 squared is equal to the x squared. So I've got 25 minus 16 is equal to x squared. And then I can do that subtraction then. 25 minus 16 is 9. That is not my overall answer because I haven't square rooted. The square root of 9 is 3. So x is equal to 3 centimetres. Okay, could you just have a go at the example in the your turn section and see if you can get the answer to that one? Just pause the video. Hopefully then you should have on this question done your 10 squared minus 6 squared to get x squared. So that's 100 minus 36 equals x squared. So x squared is equal to 64, and the square root of 64, what times by itself makes 64 is 8. So x is 8 centimetres. Now you'll notice here that all of the answers that I've given are nice whole numbers. Okay, I've used what are called Pythagorean triples to get them. That won't always be the case. I've just used them in case you haven't got a calculator. Okay, so if you're getting numbers that aren't whole numbers, you can use your calculator for them and round them to 1 or 2 decimal places. Okay, I'm going to pause if you can pause the video now and just get those notes down for me so that you've got some worked examples to refer back to. Okay, last type of example that I'm going to give you then is one like this, where you're asked to calculate the length of the line AB. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to do on that is just join up the points AB so that it is in a straight line. Okay, so if we just join those points up. And then we can see that if I wanted to find the length of that line, and they don't mean measure it when they're saying calculate it, I can just turn that into a right angle triangle. And that would be my hypotenuse. And so I'm just back to using Pythagoras again. So I'm just going to find the length of this side is 2, and the length of this side is 4. So if I wanted to work out the length of the line AB, I'm going to do 2 squared plus 4 squared is equal to x squared, which is my unknown. So 2 squared is 4, because it's 2 times 2. 4 squared is 16, 4 times 4. So I'm getting that x squared is 20. So in order to find out what x is, I'm going to need to do the square root of 20 and see what I get. Okay, when I do the square root of 20 then, I get 4.47213 and so on. Now I don't want to give all of the answer, all of those digits as the answer, and so as it's a measure I would round to 1 or 2 decimal places. I'm going to round to 2 decimal places, so I choose my second number after the point. I look to the number next to it. Is this 5 or above? No. So I don't need to round my 7 up. So my overall answer would be that x is equal to 4.47. Okay, it's not in centimetres there, so I'll just put units. Okay, I'm just going to give you a question to try. Okay, so could you have a go at the question in your turn? So if you just pause the video and then have a go at that. Okay, hopefully then you will have found that there's 3 going across and 4 going up. So 3 squared plus 4 squared will give you the x squared. 3 squared is 9 and 4 squared is 16. So x squared is 25 and your length should have been 5. Okay, the rest of the video is just going to be me giving you some questions. You can pause the video, have a go at them, and then I've provided the work solutions after them. Okay, so you can go through and have a look at those as well. I will put all of the video and the work solutions and the questions on your classrooms as well. So if you wanted to spend some time having a look through while you're going through your MyMaths video, you can do that as well. Could you please get the notes down that are on this page just before you have a go at the questions that I'm going to put on next? Okay, they're the first set of questions. Now, if you haven't got a calculator, you can do these at home, okay? But make sure you pause the video because I'm going to put the work solutions up in a second. Okay, and they're the work solutions, okay? So if you're not sure about how any of the answers are, what they are, you can have a quick look at those. And then if you... I'm going to just put another set of questions which are more problem-solving type questions up on the board now. Okay, these are the problem-solving type questions. Okay, make sure that you read the question really carefully on these ones. They're asking for different things, very similar triangles, but different problems. Okay, just remember that the area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2, and the perimeter is the distance all the way around the outside of the shape. Okay, spoiler alert, I'm going to put the work solutions on next. Okay, and they're the work solutions. Okay, thank you very much for watching. I hope that gives you a little bit more of an idea on Pythagoras and how to complete the homeworks online. Okay, bye-bye, see you soon. 5.